This is KTVO's Good Morning Heartland.
And welcome back. Hypothyroidism, also called underactive thyroid disease, is a common disorder that affects many Americans. Some people who may have had their thyroid checked only to be told it was normal may have a problem nonetheless. Now, Dr. Justin Puckett from Complete Family Medicine is here this morning to break it all down for us. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
So first of all, define what hypothyroidism is.
Well, the thyroid is a gland that resides in our neck, and its job is to make thyroid hormone. And thyroid hormone then travels throughout our body and does a whole variety of things. And so when those levels of thyroid levels get too low, we call that hypothyroidism.
Okay, and what causes hypothyroidism? Well,
there's a lot of causes. The most common actually is a autoimmune process where the body decides it doesn't like part of its own tissue, and so we have the body attacking the thyroid gland, making it where it can't to produce that thyroid hormone like it should in the right levels. And we call that Hashimoto's thyroiditis. But you can get lots of other, there can be lots of other causes. You can get other viral infections of the thyroid that leave it unable to continue to produce the proper amount of thyroid medicine. And then pregnancy. We don't really understand why, but a lot of people, a lot of women post-pregnancy will develop hypothyroidism. And then there's a variety of other medications and cancers and other things that can cause that as well.
Okay. Now, let's just go back just a little bit, because for those that probably aren't familiar what a thyroid is and what it does, is it plays an important role in your body. So talk about that.
Yeah, it's involved in the chemical reactions that happen from our head to our toes, everywhere from our skin all the way into our deepest organs, our heart, our brain. And it really does, we like to think about the thyroid as kind of that thermostat on lots of levels. So it's the thermostat for our temperature and our metabolism. It also helps control the way that our heart beats. It controls the way that our mood thinks. It also has impact on the way that our tissues are built and made, so it can help with skin, all kinds of things. It's really a very, very important chemical that's used, hormone that's used from one end of our body to the other.
All right. Now, if we can get the camera back on us really quickly, can you just show us where our thyroid is located?
Yeah, it's located just here at the lower part of our mid neck.
Okay.
So
when doctors check, you know, when you go to the doctor, you're not feeling well, and that's what they're checking for, is to kind of maybe see if it's...
Well, there's lots of things that we feel for in the neck, but definitely one of them is to feel for the thyroid gland.
Okay.
And if it's enlarged, we call that a goiter, and it's kind of like anything else. If we use our arm a whole bunch, we build up extra muscle. If we overuse our thyroid and it's just trying to do its job but just can't keep up, it'll actually kind of grow. And then you can get there are other thyroid problems other than it just not making enough hormone. You can have nodules and other things in there that can be concerning, and so when we're feeling, we're doing more of a screening technique, but if we find something there, it might be worth looking into further.
All right, now let's go back to hypothyroidism. Let's talk about some symptoms that we can look out for.
Yeah, so the big symptoms are things that are vague and a lot of us complain of. Tiredness, excessive gain of weight or inability to lose weight, changes in our menstrual cycle, constipation. Again, we're talking about a hormone that's kind of like that thermostat. It's the dial that sets how quick how things should happen. Depression. We talked about dry hair and dry skin and hair loss. The sensitivity to the cold, so whenever you go into a cold area and you're freezing and everybody else is kind of all right. And then if you have that unexplained weight gain or difficulty losing weight, is probably the number one cause the number one symptom that I see people complaining about wanting to look into their thyroid.
All right, and how is it diagnosed?
Well, it's diagnosed using blood. Okay. It's kind of a three-step process. So we have a part of our brain that makes a hormone called thyroid stimulating hormone. And so I like to tell patients that the gauge is in our brain, and whenever the blood flows through the gauge, if it determines that we need a little more thyroid, it turns up the signal from the brain to the thyroid, that TSH or thyroid stimulating hormone. Okay. Then the thyroid gland itself makes T4. About 90% of the hormone that's directly made from the thyroid is T4, and that T4 is a pre-hormone, so it's kind of like a storage form. And then in the body, the T4 is converted into the active hormone T3, and so it's that T3 that actually does the job. And so we can have a lot of problems. We can have that can lead to us having a low thyroid. We can have a problem with the gauge not reading correctly and not sending the right signal. we can have a problem with the thyroid just not being able to respond to that signal, or it can make T4 in a way that is not easily converted. It kind of makes an inefficient or a unusable hormone, pre-hormone, that is not able to easily be converted into T3. And so traditionally we've checked just a TSH and a T4, and we've always thought if the gauge looks good and the storage hormone looks good, then we're good to go. But a lot of us who are doing weight management and some other things have taken it a little, refined that just a little bit more, and we're looking more at the T3 level, that active hormone. And so even in those instances, I mean, I'm finding patients who have been told that they've had a normal thyroid, and by conventional medical standards do, but whenever we make a small adjustment in their thyroid, they really feel a lot better, do a lot better, lose weight, and a lot of those symptoms that we talk about go away.
All right, and really quickly, ways that hypothyroidism is treated?
Yeah, we have two primary medications.
Okay.
One comes from horse urine, and it's condensed, and they make Synthroid or levothyroxine, and that's a T4, only a T4 or a synthetic hormone. And the other one comes from an actual, more similar to us, more bioavailable, comes from a pig's thyroid. And so they take a pig's thyroid, dry it, and process it, and that has a combination of both T4 and T3, and that's called Armor Thyroid or Nature Thyroid or WP Thyroid. Those are all forms of the combination product.
All right, well, interesting, very interesting stuff right here. So if you have any questions or concerns, especially when it comes to your thyroids, you're more than welcome to contact Dr. Puckett. What we'll do is we'll post everything on our website at ktvo.com, and we'll link up Dr. Puckett's information with Complete Family Medicine. Again, thank you so much for coming on.
My pleasure, thank you.
And we'll be right back.